So I'm just going to lock myself in here. I'm at the wonderful Pace Fitness this morning, which is nice. Working here this morning, which is, I get the place to myself before I start, so it's very nice and it's good. I love this space. It's very good lighting and testing some equipment this morning. I've got my new little microphone, which is the main thing I'm testing, and a little mount for my tripod, the little things that I get excited about. I love all the tech stuff. So this is just going to be this is a Sunday morning flow for early birds, but like I said, I didn't post it, so I don't think anyone's watching live. You can just watch along in your own time. This practice is going to be about what I want to do, seeing as I'm the only one doing it at the moment, but it'll probably focus on the whole body, a little bit of mobility for a Sunday morning, or whenever we're choosing to practice. So welcome, and we'll come into either a laying position, our Shavasana, or if we prefer, we can be seated, we can be kneeling. Child's pose, I know, is another one that people love to do, but we just want to find ourselves in a position where we can get comfortable, where we can be at ease and just relax into ourselves. So I always like to take this moment at the beginning of a practice to check in. I think a big thing with a lot of people is, or the ones that come to my classes, we're always on the go. We've always got busyness in our lives. It may be work stuff, it might be family, if we've got kids, if we've got family that we're looking after. It may just be our own lifestyles, the things that we fill our time with, and all the thoughts that we have that surround those things. So we're just taking this space to notice what it is that we get caught up in, perhaps what we maybe overthink about. Just notice the thoughts that come and go without getting so attached, without getting caught up in them or drifting off with them. We're able to just take our step back, to take our space, let whatever thoughts want to drag our attention away come and go without it disturbing us being present. The more that we can allow these thoughts to come and go without getting taken away, the more we can become aware of what's going on in the here and now. How we're feeling throughout the whole body at this moment. If we are practicing in the morning, how we feel when we wake up in the muscles and the joints before we've started moving. Whether we've slept funny, maybe we exercise a lot, maybe we have our soreness, maybe we're recovering, or any other little injuries or niggles that we may be looking after this morning. Remembering our practice is always about finding what's right for us. So we bring our focus into how the breath is at this moment, whether it's forced, whether we can be a little bit more gentle, breathing those inhales deep down to the belly, rising up into the chest, releasing from the chest, down and out from the belly. The more we relax into this breath, the easier it is to relax the rest of the body. As we soften around the neck and the shoulders, down through the side body, through the inner organs, relaxing through the hips and the lower back as well. And resting heavily through the arms and the legs, all the way down to the tips of the fingers and the toes. As we let go of any expectations that we have for our practice this morning, allowing ourselves to just find what works for us. As we wriggle through fingers and toes, gently waking up the extremities of the body. Maybe a little roll of the wrists and the ankles. And then hugging those knees in towards the chest. So if we're not already coming into that laying position, squeezing in nice and tight, taking our own little movements here to begin. If we're someone who gets tight through that lower back, if we're a chronic sitter, or tight through the hips, can get a lot of compression in there. So just moving gently, creating that space. And then bringing those knees back to center, resting the hands to them, and taking our circles through the hips. Changing directions. So we're resting the head, resting the shoulders. And then coming back to center, butterfly circles, taking an exhale, drawing the knees in, taking them out on our inhale, drawing them back together over the hips, and then exhale, hug those knees in. Inhale, open. Exhale, drawing in. Changing directions. So still taking that inhale to open. Exhale, knees together. And hugging back into our ball, squeezing in tight, and then releasing the feet to the floor. So soles of the feet, scooting them out to the edges. Our windscreen wipers, one of my favorites for the hips, to just loosen up, especially in the early morning. If this is our practice to start the day, it's nice to get a little bit more mobility to warm up through the joints and the muscles. I find I always teach my flow classes in the morning. The restorative classes that I teach are always good for the night time, that before bed, that cooling down of the day. So just moving with that breath. Inhales to center, exhales, pointing those knees to each side. And bringing those knees back to center, hugging them in towards the chest, rocking and rolling up to seated. Coming to sit tall. So feeling that space that we create up through the vertebra. So for a huntress, seeing if we can lift a little taller through the crown of the head. Softening those, relaxing the hands to the knees. Take a breath in. Our hip circles as we exhale, bringing that torso out to the right, down and around. Inhale, sitting nice and tall. And then swapping directions. Down and around. So we're just finding that size of circle that feels good for us. If we want to grow them out, if we're opening into the stretch, we can. If there's a particularly tight spot that we want to hold, we can. Sitting back up nice and tall, taking our side neck, that left ear towards the shoulder, that left hand resting against the side head, opening through that right side neck. So we're not pulling through the head, we're not trying to force it open. We're just gentle around the neck, feeling that opening, able to keep that gentle breath flowing. Relaxing down through the back of the body. Full deep breaths. Releasing gently, turning that head, bringing our chin in towards the chest. Shifting into this upper trap. So we're feeling that shift in sensation, that stretch, moving into this good old stress magnet. Again, desk workers know what I'm talking about, as well as barbers. practicing here. Swapping sides, so starting with that right ear towards the shoulder, right hand up and over. So that left arm we can extend or relax. Keeping nice and easy through the hips and the thighs. And releasing, turning the gaze, tuck of the chin. And relax out here. Let's walk into our tabletop. So walking those hands forwards, taking our fingers spread, grounding the palms. On an inhale, dropping belly open through the heart. Exhale, lifting the back of that heart up towards the ceiling, getting that nice big arching, opening of the upper back. Inhale, lifting up through the tailbone. Exhale, tucking that chin in. One more round here. And coming back to a nice long spine, tucking those toes under. A little pedal out here. We can press those heels alternating towards the floor. If we're tight through those hamstrings, if we're hunching through that upper back, bend the knees, lift through those sit bones, get nice and long through the spine. Then introduce that length to the back of the legs if that feels good. When we're ready, starting to walk those feet forward. See if we can press the heels towards the floor, getting that extra little lengthening from through the calves. As we get to the top of our mat, taking an inhale to get a nice long half lift, and then exhale, folding forwards. Again, inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Bending through the knees, inhale, rising tall, reaching up through the arms. And then exhale, diving over. Half lift. Exhale, fold. Bend those knees as much as we need to. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, diving over. So we're starting to warm up that body, getting mobile. Take our time here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. We can always move slower than I'm doing it. Inhale, rise tall, adding our little back bend this time. So engage the glutes, hugging the core, opening through the heart. Inhale, rise. Exhale, folding forwards. Half lift. Exhale, deepen. Coming into a twist, bending that left knee. Inhale, reaching up through that right arm. And then exhale, returning to mat. Swapping sides. Inhale, left arm tall. Exhale. Folding forwards, moving with the flow. So we're opening up through this upper body, getting that lengthening down the hamstrings. Taking our time. And hands to mat. Let's inhale, another half lift. Exhale, folding forwards, bend those knees. Inhale, rise up, taking our side bends this time. We're going to ground that right foot, taking a bend to our left. So we're opening through that right side body. Inhale, tall. Exhale, opposite side. Create that space from the pinky finger all the way down to that side of the foot. Inhale, one more each side. Getting nice and tall on our in-breath. Exhale, folding forwards. Half lift, and bringing those hands to mat, stepping back to our plank, getting nice and long through the body. We can always lower those knees towards the mat, hugging that core in nice and tight. Take a big belly breath in. Exhale, chaturanga, elbows in nice and close to the body, pressing to our back bend, either that up dog or cobra, and then exhale, downward facing dog, getting nice and long again. Option to pedal, or we can just sink those heels towards the mat. Again, bend those knees. If we're a little tight this morning, we're then starting to lift out. We can walk, we can step, we can hop those feet to the front of our mats. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Bending knees, lift to rise. And folding forwards on our exhale. Inhale, half lift. High plank, stepping or hopping those feet back this time. Take our breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Up dog. Downward facing dog. On that inhale, take our high plank. So we're flowing with this breath now. Exhale, chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press open. Broad through those collarbones and shoulders. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to inhale that left heel towards the ceiling. And then exhale, step it through for a crescent lunge. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hands through heart center. I'm going to be careful with my microphone here. And then bringing that right elbow across the thigh if that's comfortable. Other option is to take that hand on the inside of the foot and reach out through the arms. Or if it's available, talking and breathing. It's always tricky as an instructor, so when you've got no cardio fitness, lengthening those arms out nice and long. And see if we can extend back through that back leg, so that right heel pressing back. So we don't want to be hovering. We can always lower that back knee for support, but we don't want it to be hanging. We want it to be nice and controlled with our foundations here. Take a breath in. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, coming tall with the torso. Exhale, frame the foot, stepping back. Take our breath. Exhale, chaturanga. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right heel to rise. Stepping through softly. Taking our time to rise tall. If we need a few steps there, take as many as we need. Relax through the shoulders. Take our breath in. Exhale, hands through heart. Finding our twist. Ooh, I'm going to be careful there. Hopefully not too much rattling sound. So again, those options nice and long through the back leg. Option to extend out through the arms. As long as we can still flow that breath gently. If we're forcing our twist, shortening that breath, we want to relax into it a little more. Ease out of the twist. One more breath in. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, tall. Hands to mat, stepping back to our plank. Take our breath. Chaturanga. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Inhaling our left heel nice and tall. Stepping outside that left foot. Our lizard lunge. Option to release that knee to the mat. Now we can start to deepen down here, bringing those elbows to the floor if that feels good. My preference, option if it's available, if it feels good, taking hold of that back foot, drawing that heel towards the hip. So if we're taking hold of that back foot, just making sure that we've got that hitchhiker's thumb. So we're taking hold of the outside of the foot, keeps that shoulder open. So if we're someone who hunches a lot and we're turning that hand the opposite way and we're closing off through that shoulder, we're bringing that hunch into the upper body. So we want to open as we draw that heel in. On those exhales, feel that release through the hip, so through that right hip flexor. Release that back foot if we've taken hold. Hands to the mat, tucking those back toes, coming to our three-legged dog, extending nice and long through that right leg and then placing it back for the floor. Little pedal out maybe, transitioning to our other side. Inhale, right heel lifts. Exhale, stepping outside. Again, finding our own option here. We can lower down, we can take hold. But keep our focus on the hips. Feel that opening. Finding our own degree here, that what I call the Goldilocks spot. Not too little, not too much. We're not lazy, but we're not forcing anything. releasing that back foot, hands to mat, tucking our back toes, threading that leg back up nice and tall, get that length, releasing the foot to floor, option, little pedal out here again, or just taking a few extra breaths in our down dog, releasing both heels to mat. And then gazing forward, soften the knees, step or hop feet to front. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, press to rise all the way tall. Folding forwards. Half lift. High plank. Continuing through our flow. Strengthen knees in our lower. Pressing, lifting up through the crown of the head. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left heel tall. Stepping through. Low lunge once more. Releasing that back knee to floor. Coming into our hamstring fold, so toes towards the chest. Nice and long through that back leg. We can bend that knee. We want to feel that opening through the hamstring. If we'd like to come into our Hanumanasana, our splits, we can take a little more space here. Again, this one especially, that Goldilocks spot. We don't want to be taking it too far. But we also don't want to just be having a nap, although if we're practicing at home, you absolutely can, even in class. We've got a few that fall asleep from time to time. All right, just relaxing into it. Again, through that hamstring, feeling that opening. If we've taken the splits, a little through that right hip flexor as well. So trying to keep those hips square, drawing back through that left side. And slowly making our way out, especially if we're taking those splits. And stepping that left foot back, tucking toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, right heel tall, get long through the back of the leg, softly stepping through. Into our low lunge, releasing that knee to mat. Drawing back, we're lengthening through that right leg, option for our splits. So be gentle, easing into it. I got work after this. And gently making our way out. This time we're going to come back to our child's pose. So bringing that right foot back to meet the big toes to touch. We can keep knees together or apart, melting down through the hips. Softening here. So with each breath we're feeling that expansion through the lungs. So we're going to feel that tummy press against the inner thighs. As we exhale, seeing what we can let go of here, how we can relax a little deeper. Coming up to our downward facing dog. If we'd like a flow, there's an option there to take a flow and come back to meet in our downward facing dog. We're going to take our pigeon next as we inhale, bringing that left leg nice and long. Exhale, taking that foot towards that front right corner of the mat, squaring the hips, melting the way down, long through the back leg, as well as resting through the head. If we'd like to add a little shoulder stretch, we can watch that mic thread that arm, that left arm across. I'm going to avoid that one this morning. So we can bring that arm across if we'd like to, or just keeping our focus through the hips, resting down. It's on these exhales that the body, the muscle gives us a little bit more. It doesn't mean that we have to go further into the stretch. If it feels good to, we can deepen. But it may just mean that we stay where we are and we feel that benefit. We stay in our comfort zone. Walking those hands back in. We're going to swap sides again. Option for a flow if we need a little bit more movement this morning. We can take those extra vinyasas. And when we're ready, taking that right leg long. Coming into our pigeon on the opposite side. So if we're deepening into the stretch, we can bring that right foot a little further forward. Just mindful we're keeping that left side hip low. And time to walk those hands in. From here, taking both legs to the front of our mat, so coming into that seated position. And we're going to bend through the knees. We can take a little wriggle out here. Bending through those knees, soles of the feet to the floor, and lowering ourselves down. Taking a laying position, resting the head, turning the feet in, the knees opening out. Reclined butterfly. We can rest those hands beside. We can take hand to heart, hand to belly, feel into the breath a little more, or overhead, hands to elbows. But laying on our back, just feeling into that breath, that unrestricted flow, getting that full expansion on our inhales, and collapse on the exhales. Drawing the knees in towards each other. Lengthening those legs out nice and long, coming into our Shavasana, our final rest. Arms by sides. Again, feeling ourselves relax through the whole body, from the middle all the way out to the fingertips and the toe tips. And taking these last few minutes to ourselves. attention back into the breath. Feeling that rise and fall of the chest. As we wriggle through fingers and toes. Taking an in-breath, reaching those arms up overhead, getting nice and long through the whole body. Rolling to our favourite side. So we bring ourselves up to a seated position. And taking hands to heart center, softening through the shoulders and the hips. And checking in once more, the end of our practice, how we're feeling both mentally, physically, compared to when we first came to our mats. I'm grateful for taking this time out of our day to practice this self-care. As we bow our heads to our hands, we honour ourselves and each other with Namaste. Thank you very much, everybody.